Some breaking news that just happened about 5 minutes ago. Multiple sources saying the Mavericks are trading Luka Doncic, Maxi Kleber, and Markieff Morris to the Lakers for Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a 2029 first-round pick per Shams Charania. And a lot of sources have been saying this all around the league right now. Chris Haynes also said it as well. And Nico Harrison, the general manager of the Dallas Mavericks, confirmed with ESPN's Tim McMahon, and I quote, he said, "I believe that defense wins championships," told ESPN regarding his motivation behind the Luka Doncic for Anthony Davis trade. "I believe that getting an all-defensive center and an all-NBA player with a defensive mindset gives us a better chance. We're built to win now and in the future." This is a shocking trade happening in the wee hours of Saturday night. GA, I'm coming to you first because I just ran in the room like, what is going on right now?
When you came to us during break with this news, I couldn't believe it. I'm still somewhat thinking it's a hack. It's really hard to fathom the thought process from moving on from Luka Doncic. It really is. At this stage of his career, as a young man that just led a team to the finals, and what Nico said, I don't disagree with. Like, Anthony Davis is as good a basketball player as we have in the world. Like, he, from a defensive standpoint and offensive standpoint, he does it all. But I'm still shocked because it's also fit-wise. How does it work when you're talking about both the Lakers and also the Mavericks? Because, LeBron and Luka are similar type players in that they are ball dominant. Now, obviously, LeBron's towards the end of his career, but big picture, I would say, man, if you're the Lakers, you got to be in shock, but also excited about the potential, knowing that you'll be able to now have a smooth transition potentially from LeBron to Luka.
Yeah, also you got to think that they're not through. They can't be through moving and trying to make moves with what they're going to be left with LeBron and Luka and, no bigs and stuff like that. So you got to think that there's more moves to be made for the Lakers. But I'm with you with what you said with the Mavs. I like the fit with AD and Kyrie, the classic 1-2 big guard. And I think we will, like you say, we all shocked, but we'll see moving forward how the Lakers continue to change and put this team together moving forward, because it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
I'm still in shock.
I mean, it's almost like you don't know what to say because you were not expecting a trade, especially this big with these names, to happen so quickly on a night like tonight. Like, I mean, how does Anthony Davis, I guess, now fit in with the Dallas Mavericks schemes and what they want to do moving forward? Nico Harrison obviously saying he's focusing on the defensive side of things and they want to win now.
I think the fit is, I will say this, just off the top of my head, I do think the fit's better. Because, one, AD can play some four there because you do have Lively and you do have Gafford. And so that could make AV even more potent. You still got Kyrie, who is an A-list first option dynamic talent, who's also won a championship playing alongside another truly great player. So, and he's gone to the finals with Luka. It's just, I'm still really, I can't remember a trade. I don't know that I've ever in my NBA life can recall a trade this shocking. I don't know. There was never a scenario where I could never even see Dallas trading Luka.
Yeah.
I didn't see this one coming. This one is mind-boggling to me. This one really is a shocker.
I mean, it's almost like hard to find words to see what to say. There are more tweets about this, too. Let's take a look at this one from Bobby Marks. There are major financial implications for Luka Doncic with this trade. He was in line to receive a 5-year, $345 million contract this summer. Doncic is no longer Supermax eligible. So was part of it maybe the Mavs didn't want to pay the Supermax? The Mavs had major concerns about moving forward with Luka Doncic due to his constant conditioning issues and the looming commitment of another Supermax contract extension this summer, sources are telling ESPN. Q, how do you react to tweets like this?
Hey, that's like like GA said, that's very alarming, especially, just thinking the way that his relationship was with the Mavs. I didn't see him leaving anytime soon or if at all. And now to hear, obviously there have been rumblings about his conditioning, being in shape, and how it deteriorates during the season from when he comes in the off season. So, hey, maybe they went and did the unthinkable and put themselves, I feel like they definitely put themselves in a great scenario getting AD to pair him with what they already have, and the things that's going outside of Luka is not that great, and they bring in Maxey Christie as well, who's a good piece, who's been playing well this year for the Lakers.
Mark Stein, though, saying Luka Doncic did not request a trade. The league sources are telling him the Mavs did this on their own accord, getting back Anthony Davis, but only one future first-round pick from the Lakers in 2029. For a 25-year-old regarded as a future MVP, that's exactly what Luka Doncic is. He's the guy that you thought would be possibly a Maverick for the rest of his life, forever. This is so shocking, it's hard to even put into words. Again, I keep saying that, but it really is.
It is, and for me, one reason it's so shocking, and again, Anthony Davis is an incredible talent, one of my favorite players in the entire league, and you could make an argument he's one of the 5 best players in the league, like in terms of all that he can do to impact the game. But the thing about Luka is he's a franchise anchor because he's also a face of the league. There aren't a lot of guys that when you think about the game, that name comes up,
yeah.
Luka. Like he's an international star, and this is still a business. And so from the Lakers standpoint, listen, I'm sure they didn't want to lose Anthony Davis, but it's not often, to your point, you're going to get a chance to get a guy 26 years old that's an all-NBA caliber player who's taken a team to the finals, and you could argue, if he does get where he needs to physically, Q, his best basketball is still ahead of him.
Yeah, that can definitely be true.
Like he can. It's not like he doesn't have a chance to continue to improve.
The only thing I'll add to that is just, it makes you think, because you know how it is, GA. Like when you, as the Dallas Mavericks, they are the team that they were the beholders, so they know the intimate things that we don't know. So maybe they saw something that they saw that could be hard to work with moving forward. When you talk about the conditioning and you talk about the things, maybe they're looking at it from like, we don't want to deal with what we have to deal with him going forward. And as you know, as players get older, it gets harder to be better in conditioning and all those different things. So like you say, this is all fresh and new. We don't know, but like for them to give up Luka and then the comments to come out being said about conditioning, like those things, that means it had to be a lot more going on behind the scenes that we were privy to.
Yeah.
And things that they deemed as like alarming or a big enough deal for them to move him.
Yeah, again, we're taking a look at this. The Lakers receive Luka Doncic, Kleber, and Morris. Mavs receive Anthony Davis, Max Christie, 2029 first-round pick. The Jazz, part of this too, they receive Hood Schifino, 2025 second-round pick, and a 2025 second-round pick from Dallas as well. Now, this is the Lakers. They like getting guys in their young prime. They did it with AD. They're now doing it with Luka. But the Mavs approached the Lakers recently and offered Luka Doncic. Sources are telling him Lakers brass met and believe the 25-year-old Doncic has the ability to be the face of their franchise for the next decade while giving AD a win-now move in Dallas.
What does LeBron think right now?
I'm trying to follow all the tweets that people are tweeting out. Like even CJ McCollum tweets out, I can't tell what's real and fake anymore on these apps. Is Luka really going to the Lakers? Joel Embiid is tweeting, wow, no way. Even players are shocked at this move as well, GA.
My son just called me.
He did?
And he was like, did you see it? I was like, I'm as in much shock as you are. Like,
seriously.
You just, listen, honestly, I'm sitting here thinking about what superstar could have been traded that would have shocked me more. And I don't think
it's hard to think of one. I don't think there is one.
Nobody else in our league that would have shocked me.
What is LeBron James thinking right now?
Oof,
that changes changes this season, like big time for them. Like they were trying to build up momentum and get to, going. They were in the top 6 of the playoffs and trying to. What does that do for them? Right there. That kind of deadpans all of that.
Yeah. That's true.
The future, like you say, the future is like, yeah, he can pass the baton and you can be the guy, but it's like, what about right now what we were in the middle of trying to do? And LeBron, he's at the end of the road. He was trying to get one right now. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you made the point, though, that you have to figure the Lakers may not be done.
They can't be
I
done.
don't know
Can't
what
be.
else they have the potential to do. But listen, with all the concerns that we heard from the Dallas Mavericks about Luka, he can still really play.
Yeah.
and he is a guy that just led a team to the finals a year ago. And it would be, listen, I can't wait for all of the stuff to fall out to hear about what's really going on. Because I had a sense that there had to be something that wasn't necessarily just about basketball for this trade to happen. And I think that something must have come to a head with his issues health-wise. How long is he out right now? How this is all going to materialize? And from his standpoint, if what they're saying is true, a lot of times, and Q knows this, when you are a great player and you get traded unexpectedly, it can humble you.
Yeah.
And it can then make you start to say, you know what? Maybe I do need to make some changes. And you get to go and play along the guy you idolized growing up, who is the epitome of taking care of themselves physically. And so that's something else that could play in this from the Lakers' standpoint. But, I mean, you're not just talking to generational talent. I mean, you're talking about a guy who you could make the argument is the best player in the league.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And it's still a shocking trade, the amount of tweets that are coming out from all of the players around the league right now. David Aldridge saying, I've been covering the NBA for 37 years. Almost nothing that happens, deals, free agent signings, coach hirings and firings, rises to the level of, as the great Ben Bradley used to call them, holy, don't think I could say that on air, stories. You just get used to the unexpected. This is a holy deep trade, and it definitely is one. I think this is a trade that's going to go down in history for years. People will talk about this 20, 30, 45 years later, being like, remember that one time there was the most shocking trade almost in NBA history where Luka Doncic was traded for Anthony Davis. And I mean, I guess one of the next questions is what else do the Lakers want to add now that they're adding someone like Luka Doncic? Yeah, who do you think?
Same thing Anthony Davis was asking about. They got to go get it.
Well, AD got it.
That's what I'm saying.
He got
Gafford. I don't know when Lively will be back, but, like, yeah, he's got what he needs. And after he gets over the initial shock, I think he should be okay. But if the Lakers fans, they got to know that there's new moves coming. There's got to be more moves coming. I can't even think off the top of my head right now who to go after. You just know you need some size and some big athleticism guys up front because they don't have a lot of it right now.
Yeah, got to add that a lot more defense. I mean, we saw them play really good defense tonight without Anthony Davis.
Vucevic was a name that was mentioned.
And there still could be things. I will, and you know this. The one thing I will say, like, the questions, when you're trying to build a championship team, you can have a lot of questions, but the one question you can have is my best player good enough to win a championship? Yeah. It's got to start there. Like, you can have a good defensive team. You know, you can have a great shooting team. You can have a lot of things that are positive, but ultimately to win a championship, your best player's got to be one of those guys.
Yeah.
I don't think LeBron is happy right now. I'm just being real, just thinking about it. If you him, what would you feel like? And him and AD, boy, they had great chemistry and everything. He just spoke highly about how everybody had to fill in the blank because AD does so much for everybody on the whole team. Just said that.
I don't know that he couldn't have had an inkling that something like this could potentially happen. I just would find it hard to believe that he wouldn't have some type of understanding about what might be transpiring.
Yeah.
You know, like, because I don't think this just happened like that. Like, there have been conversations, I got to believe. Because if you're Dallas, you can't make, this doesn't happen in an hour. You don't make a move like this without a lot of thought going into it from the ownership on down, from the coaching staff, because there's a lot of respect between Jay Kidd and Nico Harris. So, like, there has been an ongoing dialogue on their end
that we didn't know about. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
because the fact that statement came out.
Yeah,
about the conditioning,
about the defense, wins championship.
Yeah,
all of that. It was
like the way they
little,
phrased it.
Yeah.
It was almost like a little bit of a shot at Luka.
Yeah, it was a jab, definitely, for a fact.
Now take me inside Dallas right now. I mean, they're adding Anthony Davis.
Ecstatic.
Are they capable right now, GA, you think, of winning now?
Listen, yeah, they do have a really good roster, and they still have Kyrie, who's going to be more than comfortable at scoring the basketball at a high level. But I will say this, though. That locker room is probably in shock, too. You know, because when you're that kind of player like a Luka, and remember, he basically been there his whole career, he is a strong pull in that locker room. And you've heard Kyrie talk about their relationship and that dynamic. And it's still going to take some time for this to all settle.
It's going to take a lot of time.
Look how we're feeling about this, how much shock we're in.
Yeah.
You can only imagine when those Maverick players hear that. Like, I can guarantee you to a man, this is something they didn't think was remotely possible.
Yeah.
I mean, you would not have thought that this was even a possibility that Luka Doncic could be traded. And I don't think it had anything to do with the max contract. The one thing about a max contract, like, when you've got one of those guys on your roster, like, you want to pay you got to spend that money anyway, right?
Yeah.
You're going to have to spend that. Like, you want to spend it on those kind of players. Now, the concern about the injuries and the health and the conditioning, that's all real. But it's not a money thing. To me, and AD just signed an extension. So to me, this is more about they just feel like, and it took a lot for them to get to this point, I believe.
Yeah.
For you to be able to move on from a player of that caliber. And this is something where I think everybody in that organization had to be on board with making a move like this.
Yeah, and inside the locker room, like you said, they're probably shook to the core right now. The Mavs without Luka Doncic this season are 13 and 14 on the year. So it'll be interesting to see how they adjust again. AD is out for the next 7 to 10 days with that grade 1 oblique strain. Patrick
don't let
Mahomes,
him mess up the Super
who you
Bowl.
know is a huge Mavericks fan, said, I'm sick right now. Don't let him mess up the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes, like GA said. No, but I mean, we all feel the same way. CJ McCollum got to pack them bags just in case nowadays. If the Don got traded, only Lord knows. I mean, it's true. Everybody up for grabs. You remember the personnel side of things, but it's business at the end of the day, the business of basketball, and that's some of the toughest parts about it. I mean, I wonder how Luka Doncic and Anthony Davis are also feeling about this right now at the same time, Q. When you hear about a trade like this, I mean, what goes through your mind as a player?
I mean, initially you shocked and you upset, no doubt about it. There's not a lot of places, with these two guys where they would be going where, they were at home already. You know what I'm saying? AD was loving LA, the Lakers, and his team. I'm sure Luka felt at home in Dallas. Man, this is my organization, my franchise, and to get traded blindsided like that is never a good feeling. No way. They're both definitely shocked and probably disappointed and upset a little bit. Then they'll get past it and got to be men.
Yeah. If Mark Cuban was still at the helm right now, you think this would happen too? Eventually, would they get there?
I think it's possible. I think, listen, ownership's ownership, but ultimately, generally when you hire somebody, if you have complete trust in them, and if you think about Nico Harrison, right, in his short tenure there, he got him to the finals.
Yeah.
He went out and made incredible deals last year.
Last year was incredible.
To bolster that roster. So I definitely you would have to have faith in his vision. That's why you hired him. And thus far, he's done a hell of a job in terms of what he's accomplished. And in fairness, too, it's not like he went and got a lesser player. Like, as much as we talk about Luka wasn't drafted, but he was really drafted by the Mavs. He's been there. They've watched him grow and see him become this mega star. And so it's really hard for them to move off of that. But they do have a roster that's pretty formidable. They are defensive-minded. And AD, with all his great defensive accolades, is also a guy getting 30 a night. So they didn't necessarily give up a lot in terms of what they can accomplish this season. In a lot of ways, you could make an argument this does bolster them because, again, they're not losing the offense that some might. Like, AD is still one of the very best players in our league. It's just shocking that you don't typically see teams move off their franchise player at this stage of his career when we hadn't really heard a lot about unhappiness, being disgruntled.
Or negative rumblings whatsoever. I mean, we really didn't hear a single thing. Now you have LeBron James that's going to be playing alongside Luka Doncic.
I got to see if LBJ tweet. Let me see if
I know. I keep refreshing. I keep looking. He still hasn't yet. I mean, you picture this. They're flying back from New York right now. They're all on the plane together, and they're all hearing this. Can you take me inside that plane? I mean, what's going on in these guys' heads right now?
I'm telling you, AD is probably a little bit upset right now, and I'm telling you, I really truly believe that LeBron probably is because. No, like you say, no disrespect to Luka because he's a generational talent, one of the best in the league. Like you say, could be argued to be the best. But when you talk about a fit for trying to win right now, it's like you breaking everything down. We got to figure things back out. Right when we were kind of hitting the stride here with what we had going, even with AD being out. So I mean. It's going to be interesting to see how the fallout from all this, like what other moves do the Lakers make, what pieces do they bring in, and will they be good enough, and how LeBron will feel about that moving forward.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see. How GA, do you think that LeBron and Luka Doncic work together now on the same team? Because this is something that we're going to, I guess, get used to seeing.
Potentially. Listen, I think both guys have such a skill and such a high IQ that they can play together. I don't think that's not the least of my concerns. It's just that the roster, as it's presently constructed, I don't think there's enough there to be able to compete.
Yeah.
Because they don't, they have no real interior defense. They don't have anybody that can put pressure on the rim on both sides of the ball. That you can't. There's certain things you can't replace. Those guys could go get 35 a night each, and you still wouldn't be good enough.
Yeah.
And so that's what makes me believe that there's more to come from the Lakers' perspective. They have some assets still, but, they don't have overwhelming assets. This is not like they got the Utah Jazz's picks where they got, a gazillion first-round picks and flexibility. But I just have to believe, because to your point, unless LeBron is moving on, You're trying to put a team out there, if you're the Lakers, that has a chance. You just want a puncher's chance to compete for a championship. Dallas, I feel like, is still right in the mix. They're going to still be in the mix potentially. Be interested to see what the Lakers do in terms of their roster moving forward.
Yeah, and I know LeBron James told Lisa Salters tonight, like, hey, well, we see you again at Madison Square Garden, and LeBron James said, we'll see, well, probably. But, is a trade like this possibly a sign of, hey, maybe LeBron isn't going to be back? I mean, I don't want to obviously make those big assumptions or speculate by any means because we have no clue, and that's all LeBron James' decision, but at the same time, it kind of makes you start to think about it a little bit.
I think the Lakers just going out and doing that on their own. They won't find out that, his thoughts and like what he's going to do until he's, concrete with it. I don't think he would tell them like, hey, go get somebody. I may or may not. I think they just doing that to cover their back and have that in place for whenever he decides that.
And I would also say, I do think that Luka has had conversations with the Lakers front office. I don't know that you would make a move like that without having some type of an insurance that there's an interest to go and be a part of that future. That to me, because he could still potentially just play it out. You could have a disgruntled star. Like, I don't think that if you're the Lakers, you're going to do something like that.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to this is such a blockbuster, and this is going to have so much and so many of us talking about it. Then on top of that, you're going to bring a guy that doesn't want to come? I don't think that's the case.
Yeah. Mark Stein, another tweet from the Dallas perspective. Let's take a look at it right now. The Mavericks and Luka Doncic until tonight. We're heading towards a 5-year contract extension in July, where the record $345 million. Dallas GM Nico Harrison made the call to abruptly change the direction of the franchise with one of the most stunning trades in league history. And we were talking about them on the plane, and LeBron James learned of the Davis-Doncic trade after the Knicks game when it broke while he was out to dinner with his family. So they're staying in New York right now. Sources close to James told ESPN James was surprised by the news, processing it, and had no idea it was in the works, sources said. Q, you just gave me a look. What do you think of that?
I think that's the only way a deal like this big goes down. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's why everybody's stunned, because nobody knew about it but the people that were actually doing the deal. I feel like that's truly what happened here, and I don't think LeBron knew about that. I don't think Luka knew about it. I think this is like truly one of those things that just happened.
Mm.
There are, again, we can't confirm stuff, but there are reports that there was a rift between AD and the Lakers management.
All the stuff
also
starts coming out of the
interview
woodworks.
that the sit-down interview he just did with ESPN. But again, I don't know if there's a lot of legitimacy to that, but it's a shocker. I mean, listen, I don't think anybody could have foreseen something like this happening. And for it to come together that quickly, I'm still blown away.
Yeah.
I still have yet to be able to process this. I know it's happening, but in my mind, I still
it doesn't
don't
make
believe
sense.
it.
Yeah,
I still can't believe
it's still
it.
like you need to sleep on it for a couple nights before it actually hits you that it's a real thing. But when you're the Lakers, I mean, whether LeBron plays just this year, another 5 years, another 10 years, does having a guy like Luka Doncic now on your team like make the path a little bit more clear now for the Lakers moving forward to a certain extent?
Yes. Well, it was the point I was making about when you're trying to win a championship, the most important thing is your best player. It just, like, if you go look at the history of this league and you look at all the championship teams, generally speaking, it starts with their best player.
Yeah.
Because you can build a team that can compete, but you got to have somebody to build around to win championships. And there's no question that a guy like Luka Doncic, as is the case with LeBron, those are guys that have proven that you can build around them, potentially win a championship. Luka, you hadn't won a championship, but he's gone to the NBA Finals. He's gone to the conference finals.
Yeah.
So we know there's enough talent there. The question is, do you have the capacity to build the right type of roster? And Dallas showed us a bit of a blueprint last year, right? They went out and got a much more defensive-oriented team. They went and got another dynamic offensive player in Kyrie, and they had tremendous success with that. So the proof's there and the formula's there if you're the Lakers. The question is doing that with LeBron James on your roster. That's to me, is where it gets interesting.
Yeah. Q, what do you think?
Yeah, what he said. I mean, really though, it's like it's so fresh. We don't know what they're gonna do, how they're gonna do it. It's just know that something else has to be done with that Lakers roster as it's constructed right now. How and what they're gonna do to go about it, we got to stay tuned.
Yeah, more tweets from around the league right now. Let's take a look at it. People still in shock. D Wade says, "I love it, absolutely love it."
But who's he love it for?
I don't know.
That's what I want.